Healthy Formula. And I'm Michelle Swinyer. I'm one of the nurse practitioners with Heart Care, and I love to talk about these things. They've been helpful in my own life, and it's something that I've been passionate about since I went into healthcare many years ago. Started as a nurse, and then at the ripe old age of, how old was I, 44, 45, I went back to nurse practitioner school and actually graduated the same year as my son from UNC Chapel Hill, so that was fun to celebrate those milestones together. We are going to talk about some tips. I cannot cover these tips in their entirety in the time that we've been given, but I have included my email at the end of the presentation, and I truly mean send me any questions, any thoughts. I wish that we had time, and I wish this when I'm seeing patients in the office. I wish that I could sit with each person and talk about what's good for you, because we are all a little bit different, and we like different things, we eat different things. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and you'll have my email at the end of the presentation. So just a couple of quick objectives, just so you can hold me accountable for what we want to talk about today. I really want you to leave here with some practical tips that are helpful to you in the scheme of diet, exercise, sleep, stress management, and socialization. And those are the pillars of lifestyle medicine. And there are organizations that promote lifestyle medicine. I believe it goes hand in hand with traditional medicine. So sometimes we need prescriptions, and sometimes we need lifestyle modification, and most of the time, a lot of people need both. So we're going to mostly talk about lifestyle modification today, and I hope you will leave with some practical tips. All right. Can we potentially lengthen our number of years on this earth and our quality of life? So we talk about lifespan, which is the length of years that you live, and then health span is the period of that time that you're alive, that you are feeling well, that you're not disabled or unable to do the things that give you enjoyment because of chronic disease. So we not only want to extend the number of years we live, we want to extend the quality of the years we live. The average age of death in the United States for women is 81.4 years, and for males it's 76.5 years. So worldwide, we ladies live about 5 years longer than men. And it's been attributed to a lot of different things, but a lot of people think it's because we take better care of ourselves. So we want to continue that tradition. Interestingly, though, the United States, to be one of the wealthiest nations on the earth, we are 61st for lifespan. So we are out of 234 countries, so we're not close to the top. Japan, Monaco, and Hong Kong are the top of the list, and many of the countries of Africa make up the lower portion of the list. So we know a lot of factors go into that, like access to care, freedom to receive care, the resources that are available. So we're going to talk about some things we have available to us. We're going to start off talking about what we eat. So calories are the measurement of the food's energy content. And we need calories to function in our daily lives. We must eat to live. And while the requirements for us might change, these three principles don't change. Calories, they're foods, they're our bodies, it's the way we receive energy to function. Nutrients are the elements of the food that elements found in the food that nourish us and give us that energy. And then metabolism is the chemical process that converts those nutrients into energy. And so this is why it matters what you eat. What constitutes a healthy food? So how do we, as a world or as a healthcare provider or as a person, how do we decide what is healthy? Nutrient-dense foods have a balanced variety of the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, the carbohydrates, the antioxidants that you need to live. So you want to eat as much as you can foods that are high in these and not deficient of these. They help us feel full longer, and they usually don't contain bad amounts of or unnatural sources of sugar or salt or fat. Usually these foods are minimally processed. They have an ingredient list that you can pronounce. And think about the produce aisle at the grocery store. There's no stickers, there's no nutrition label on that food because it is what it is. And that's the kind of the base of where we need to look at that section as the base of our diet, because these are the most minimally processed foods on the earth. You have to be a detective somewhat, and you have to really look out for mislabeling. Now food companies, what is their goal? Food companies sell you food, right? And they want you to love that food so much that you feel like you can't go without it. And so you have to become a detective and look at those labels and look to see if really what they're saying is really what your goal is for that food. So you'll see all kinds of labels like low fat, low sugar, gluten-free, whole grain. They want you to see that label and think health, and sometimes that can be somewhat misleading. So look for hidden salt. It's in sauces. Sugar is a big, oftentimes, unfortunately, one of the major ingredients in salad dressings that you wouldn't think about. Look for MSG, which is monosodium glutamate, and it's used to make foods taste good and last longer. And this can be found in a variety of foods. So look at this plate on the right here. Does that look anything like the food pyramid that you were presented when you were in elementary school? No. This is actually the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. This is their image. And I love it because it's so colorful and it's so pretty. And it is a goal for how we should eat. Now, we're not going to eat that way every meal, but that's kind of how we should be thinking. And that's what I'm hoping you leave here with today, is looking at some of those foods in a different light today. So we want to eat whole, real foods that grow on the earth. We want to be plant forward, and so what that means is using these things that grow on the earth, these vegetables, these whole grains, these plants that are not processed and are not from animals. We want to use that as kind of a base of a diet. It should be diverse. It should taste good. I don't like the saying that if it tastes good, spit it out. We hear that a lot of times when we're talking about, eating a low sodium, heart healthy diet. I hope I changed your thinking about that. Local is best. Organic is great if you can get to it. But just think about your grandparents, your great-grandparents who grew their own food in the garden, and everybody ate what they grew. That's really the best thing one of the best things we can do for ourselves. Healthy dietary patterns, foundational on whole grains, beans and legumes, fruits, vegetables. Healthy fats, we do need some fat. So you don't always, that low fat label on that food isn't always a good thing, because we need certain fats. We need monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. So I'm going to have a food label for you in a few slides, and we're going to look at the trans fat. You don't want to see the trans fats in your foods, but you do want to see these fats. And these are some of the foods where you find those. Fish, lean meat, nuts and seeds. You want to eat local food, like I said, and you want it to be seasonal. Now, I do buy some, blueberries and things that are not in season, but we should look around, and if it's not growing at this time of year, that's not the best time to eat it. So that's where your frozen things can come in handy, canned and jarred items that have been, that you've done yourself or a farmer has done locally. Fermented foods, like sauerkraut. This is a part of a healthy diet, and probably the area, it's where I personally don't do a great job with incorporating these foods. But the reason these are beneficial is they're rich in probiotics, so they're good for your gut. They boost immunity and can reduce chronic inflammation. And then we want to limit saturated fat, which is found in eggs, dairy, and red meat. And your red meats are your animals, kind of think about blood. So poultry, beef, lamb. Chickens bleed too, but they are considered white meat. You want to limit sugar and other simple carbohydrates. White foods, so white bread, white rice, things made out of sugar, like cakes, cookies. Want to limit those things, limit salt, and limit ultra-processed food. Why? Why do we want to eat this way? Well, it's very beneficial from a heart perspective in reducing your risk of heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer. It also is good for your body function on a daily basis. So eating a high fiber diet helps you be regular in going to the bathroom, which is a nice feeling. And it provides micronutrients for your body, so your body can generally work better when you eat this way. You hear a lot about cost of food, and people say, I can't afford to eat healthy. And I have yet to do this, but I keep saying I'm going to create a list where if you're buying a bag of beans, dried beans, and cooking those at home, and you're buying some vegetables for that week, and you're buying some lean protein, you can make enough meals within that week that you will save yourself money. You can't get lunches that are $5 anymore. So this is a way that you can reduce your cost of food. Staying out of the middle aisles of the grocery store can be beneficial from a pocketbook perspective as well. And it can reduce future healthcare expenses. So if you eat well now, maybe you save yourself money on medications or hospitalizations or treatments that you need. It also provides mental benefit. It can improve your mood, help you to concentrate better, sleep better, and there's a lower risk of depression associated with nutritious eating. All right, so what are whole foods and what are processed foods? So whole foods are things you see in the produce section. They're in their natural form. And this can be beans, this can be vegetables, fruits. Now they can also be processed, but if it's in its natural form, that is a whole food. Brown rice, barley, quinoa, it hasn't gone through a process, hasn't been changed very much from its original form. Unfortunately, the majority of the American diet is processed food and ultra-processed food. So processing in some instances can be minimal, like in coffee or olive oil. They undergo minimally processing or the process is minimally changes it from its original form. But unfortunately, a lot of what we eat is ultra-processed. So these foods have undergone extensive processing. They rarely look like their original form, right? So if you think about a cheese puff, it does not look like a block of cheese, does it? They're often contain numerous added ingredients. They're often high in calories, fat, sugar, and sodium. And you could not make this food in your own kitchen, right? We couldn't. It'd be very difficult for us to make a cheese puff in our kitchen. The ingredients are to prolong their shelf life. And they do add, flavor. Someone pointed out to me that with things like canned chicken, canned tuna, you can have all sorts of added ingredients. So if that's something that you keep, those are nice to keep on hand for if your, stove goes out, or it's good to have those staple items that you can eat if you don't have power. But check the label, because there's all kinds of things added to, the foods that we wouldn't think of. I want you to do an experiment when you get home, and I want you to take a piece of bread that you bought at the grocery store, packaged bread, so not bakery bread, but like your name brand breads that come in a loaf. I want you to see how long it takes it to turn bad. And keep it in the bag, don't set it out on the counter. That bread might not change or show mold for weeks. But if you make bread, or you buy bakery bread, it often has some mold on it pretty quickly, doesn't it? So that's processed. That's what they've done to prolong the life of that bread. Nutrition labels are very helpful. You want to be a good detective there and make sure that you are getting what you think you're getting. So you want to see, saturated fat content should be low, trans fats, 0 hopefully. You got to look at your total carbohydrates, because that includes 2 factors most often, fiber and sugar. And so you want a product that's low in sugar and high in fiber. And then protein is the buzzword right now. So a lot of people are looking at protein content. So make sure you're getting what you think you're getting, and really look at your serving size. So you may think that, you can eat 6 crackers for X amount of calories or whatever, and it's only 2. So look at those things when you're looking at labels. Goals for healthy eating. All right, so what are some numbers? I like things that are easy to keep up with, numbers that are easy to keep up with. And so I want you to remember the number 25. Aim for 25, at least 25 grams of fiber daily. You can go over that if you want to. And limit sugar to under 25. So think 25 and think sugar less, fiber that or more. Your caloric intake, each of our bodies are different, and the calories that we need are different. So you need to know for yourself what your goals are. And so you can do that with some online help, some equations, some calculators. MyFitnessPal is an app that's great. And it's just you being honest with that calculator or that app. And that's where your change comes in. It's not a math equation. It's honesty and consistency, not perfection. And we're already running out of time. Water is essential to help us grow. It helps our body function best, so it is our best liquid. So aim to drink a lot of water. The fiber one I'm going to skip, because I have a QR code for you here if you want to scan that, or a paper handout if you would like to, and you can Google highest fiber foods. Beans always top the list, raspberries, pears and apples with the skin. Some little powerhouses. I love these little guys, these flax seeds and chia seeds, because you hardly know they're there, and they're adding fiber and protein to your meals. Barriers. There's always barriers to access to fresh food. You may not have a good grocery store near you. You may not have a farmer's market. We'll talk about that a little bit more hopefully at the end. And it's hard to please all your family members, but you can hide some vegetables in some things and your family will never know they're there. So keep that in mind. All right, we need to move to live a long, healthy life. So Melissa was talking a little bit about this, the different types of exercise. We need both types in our life. And this should be enjoyable for you. So, when you are thinking about what kind of aerobic exercise you're going to do, you do not have to be a runner. This should be something that you enjoy, that you're going to continue to do, and there's lots of different options. Don't forget about water. Water therapy is great. Swimming, yoga, water aerobics. We need to be flexible as we get older, and so some stretching, things like yoga, Tai Chi. If you don't have time to take classes and you want to practice your balance, stand on one leg while you brush your teeth. Start out near a countertop if you're not sure that you can balance for any period of time. But just doing simple things like that around home can be very beneficial. We know that exercise reduces the risk of many different diseases, including certain cancers, heart disease, and diabetes. And there are fewer complications in people who develop these diseases. Sometimes genetics get the best of us, and we have a bad heart. But you will do better in that treatment plan when you are a person who has been moving and eating well. And so they have less complications. And then we need our bones to last and not break easily. And so the benefits of exercise are definitely there, and in sleeping and brain function. If you talk to any healthcare professional, we should be encouraging you to get at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. That's where you're going at a pace where you can talk, but you cannot tell a story. If I can talk to you like I'm talking right now while I'm exercising, I'm not quite exercising hard enough. Or you can be a person that does a shorter number of minutes, but a harder exercise, a more vigorous routine, and that's 75 to 150 minutes. Again, if you want to think simple numbers, think, I need to exercise at least 2 hours this week. At least 2 hours. And then I need to work in I need to pick up some weights, or I need to do some wall push-ups or some squats. I need to be doing some resistance and strength training. And here's our little, the Goldilocks of physical activity is when you can answer a question but not sing a song or tell a story. And if you're walking on the treadmill or riding a bike and you're reading a book, probably not going quite hard enough. It's never too late to start. I don't care what age you are, you can begin to do something to improve your mobility. That can be standing at your kitchen sink, like I said, and balancing on one foot, doing chair squats, doing chair yoga. We are in the age of technology, and there are a boom-poodle of resources online. And even people who participate in a little bit of activity do better than people who do not participate in any. And physically active, obese individuals live longer than inactive, non-obese individuals. So that's a great encouragement. Physical activity is your walks around your house, you're unloading the dishwasher, you're folding laundry, you're walking up your steps. There's no limit to that for a day. Be as physically active as you can. Never lie down when you can sit. Never sit when you can stand. And never stand when you can pace. So trying to up that level, in those ways by taking a phone call and walking around while you're on the phone. Get up during commercial breaks. SMART goals could be a whole class by itself. And it's just training us to pick something that is doable and define it and make it measurable. And so I gave you the example of I want to be healthier, so I'm going to walk at lunch for 30 minutes, 3 days a week. All right, let me just briefly talk about sleep. Sorry to run out of time here. Sleep is very, very important to your health. And so if you are not sleeping well, I encourage you to let me send you some slides or reach out to any healthcare professional or Google and look up healthy sleep habits, because we need to sleep to reset our bodies and our brains. There's lots of sleep hygiene recommendations: cold, dark room, getting sunlight during the daylight hours so that your body knows it's daytime, and then winding down in the evening hours, putting your phone and your tablet and your TV away, for aiming for 30 minutes before you go to bed to put those devices away. And then if you are truly not sleeping, that's a medical problem. And so you need to seek either therapy or talk with your healthcare provider about it, because it is very important. And we are designed to connect. We are designed to love other individuals. These strong connections improve cancer survival. They make an outcome for a traumatic injury or event you're more likely to be successful with that. Better mental health and better compliance with daily habits. It can also improve your blood sugar, your immunity, and can lower your BMI. So take time to connect with people. Seek out opportunities to learn something new. Get to know someone that you haven't known before. Don't make assumptions based on appearances. Ask someone that you are around a lot of the time. What do we have in common? You're not going to have a lot of things in common with every person you meet, but seek out opportunities to get to know your neighbors, your co-workers, your church members, your extended family, and there's lots of resources available to help with that. And there is my email. I'm happy, like I said, to answer any questions. If you would like to scan the QR code for the fiber handout, and also there is a paper handout as well. Any questions? I'm sorry to run through the last part. Yes, ma'am.